What's going on? It's Chris and Emily from LifterLMS, and you know what day it is. It's Feature Friday, now on Tuesday. Today, we're going to be getting into feature requests. So this is a little different from our usual software tutorials. What we're going to talk about today is how to basically engage with LifterLMS and the LifterLMS team around a feature you would like to see built and maintained by LifterLMS. So in the history of LifterLMS, we're known as a company that cares about our users, listens to them. We rely on them in many ways to help guide the vision of the product. Like, what do we need to do? What's a new add-on to make? What's something to improve in the core LifterLMS plugin? What's a new small feature? What's a major new feature? What's an integration with another tool that is really popular? So feature requests are a big part of product development that matter to a company like LifterLMS that listens. You may not be aware of how LifterLMS manages feature requests. So if you are, say, 98% happy with LifterLMS, but you wish this one thing also existed, that's the type of person who wants to make a feature request. So we're going to go over how you can engage with us with a feature request and the systems that we already have in place to listen to you and kind of build a community of input around feature requests. Emily's going to take us on a tour of how that works, and I would encourage you to reach out to connect with us. We are a company that listens, and we want to hear your feature requests. Over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Chris. So diving in, like Chris said, when you're touring around in the back end of LifterLMS, you're building your courses, you're working with groups, or you're working with engagements, you're just building your platform. You might have something you want to see added to the platform or something you don't know if you can do. You might contact support and say, hey, is this possible with LifterLMS? They might say no, but you can submit a feature request. And they'll point you over to this feature request form here. You fill out. It defaults to saying you're submitting a feature request, but this is our general contact form. And so you could submit requests about a couple of things, but on our contact form, you could submit a feature request with your name and then your message. It's best to outline for us exactly what you want the feature to do. And I'll talk a little bit about the specificity I would recommend in a second, but the process is that you submit your feature request on this form. We then add it to our Trello board, or we say, hey, this feature request is already on our Trello board. Go vote on it. And if you can get a community behind your feature, like LifterLMS groups was one of them that you mentioned, Chris, that was very crowd oriented. People requested this ability to sell to organizations in an easier way than vouchers. And so LifterLMS groups came out of that with community contributed features. And so this is where the LifterLMS team comes primarily to develop new features, and we're rolling out a lot of new features lately, a lot more than years past, which is really cool. And so if you have that third-party integration with OmniSend, or that's an email platform, email CRM messaging platform, or you want the ability to show courses on the student dashboard to highlight for enrolled courses which ones are locked, there's all kinds of interesting things that you could want to see added to LifterLMS. It's all here, and this is where we primarily look. You can see other community members are voting, 5 votes for this one, 11 votes for this one. And so when it comes to submitting your feature request, I recommend having a level of specificity. So if you want to add something to the engagement system, you'll want to tell us what you want to add to the engagement system, how you anticipate it will work, to say like, oh, I want an engagement for when a student, now I'm coming up with something on the spot. When a student completes 2 courses, I don't know, when a student completes multiple courses, I want to be able to trigger an engagement because I have a bunch of mini courses on my website. So then you can outline, if you have a bunch of mini courses, having an engagement that triggers for multiple course completions. When you complete 2 courses, trigger this engagement. It will help me sell more product to my customer, get my learners learning in a new way. And for something like an engagement, it's relatively straightforward for what that would entail, but saying what your feature request is, what the value is it'll bring to you and your customers, and how you anticipate it might work. from a user experience perspective. Like step 1, I would click this. Step 2, I would click this. Step 3, I would click that. Sometimes people give us abstract feature requests, and it's a little bit hard for our team to deliver exactly what you want within the product, because it's like, oh, well, I want LifterLMS groups. Well, what does a group mean to you? What does it look like when someone interacts with a group? What is the purpose of a group? It's to sell to multiple organizations. What are the steps of interacting with a group? Step 1, I open my group. Step 2, I add members to my group. Step 3, those members click a sign-in link to join my group. Just lay it out in as much specificity as possible. And you can also work with custom developers. A lot of our feature requests that make it through to our platform come from people who have had this feature developed for their LMS. So there are options for creating a lot of things that you want with LifterLMS that might not be in the core product now via third-party integrations like Automator WP and tools like that, or custom development. And a lot of profitable LMS companies that really need the features to be added to their LifterLMS website, it becomes worth it for them to pay for that custom development to get it integrated if they need it like soon, if it's really going to turn around revenue for their company. But a lot of those custom deployment features that me as a LifterLMS expert and other LifterLMS experts make contribute to features that will be made into LifterLMS in the future. But that's kind of a long-winded answer about where you can submit a feature request, how you should submit a feature request to make it as clear as possible, and what you might do in the meantime if you need a feature that's not being built by LifterLMS.
That's awesome. And let's just expand and do a group curveball on how to think about feature requests outside of the box. And this is why it's good to communicate with the LifterLMS team, as an example, because they know that the one of the wild things about feature requests is it may actually already exist. You just haven't found it yet. So even the example Emily gave about completing 2 courses to trigger an engagement, we have something called course tracks, which you could put 2 courses in a track so that when they completed the track in no certain order of those courses, you can trigger an engagement. That might not be exactly what you were thinking, but if you weren't aware of course tracks, there could be a solution there. So just throwing that out there as just because you want it and you haven't found it yet doesn't mean it doesn't already exist. Hiring custom development is also a great option. That's one of the reasons people love WordPress. It's one of the reasons they love LifterLMS. Like if they want to integrate it with some single sign-on with their some other tool, it may already be able to be done, and we might even be able to refer you to a LifterLMS expert that could help you do that. Or we might refer you to a third-party product that we don't make that solves that issue today, right away. You're just going to need another product. So for example, WP Fusion, if you're like, you guys only have MailChimp and Kit, but I use Salesforce as my CRM, I'd like to submit a feature request for that. Well, the first thing we would say is, awesome, we hear you. Did you know that you could actually do that today by using WP Fusion to connect LifterLMS to Salesforce and 50 other CRMs? But maybe you're in a camp where you have a custom built solution and you just want to integrate it, and then you're heading down the custom development route. And also just engaging with the communities that LifterLMS has, like our Facebook groups, our Slack community. When you kind of submit a feature request to the community, like, gosh, I really wish I could do XYZ with LifterLMS, you may see somebody else pop up in the community who's be like, hey, I had the same problem. I actually solved it this way. Or they might kind of reframe your problem or your feature request and be like, I understand what you're trying to do there, but have you thought about doing this other thing instead that might even be a better solution to your end goal? So feature requests, as a product person, I'm actually really fascinated with it because it's really interesting, because at the end of the day, the concept of a feature request is really just a request to solve a specific problem. And sometimes there are multiple paths to get to the outcome that you want. It may be a new feature that we build for Lifter LMS, or an integration or a new add-on, but it could be something else. But I don't know. I'm kind of just brainstorming. Any other thoughts on how you think about feature requests, Emily?
I like to challenge people who come to me for custom development or submit a feature request to Lifter about like exactly what the problem is they're trying to solve, and if that problem could even be solved in a different way. If it's like, we're trying to get more student engagement, so this is my feature request. The Lifter team might also be able to suggest, if you're looking for increased student engagement, maybe an integration with GamiPress might be able to achieve that goal for you today. But we're happy to put your feature request on the board. And so knowing, just really exploring what your underlying problem is. Like, you have your feature, which solves a problem for your business, which solves a problem for your customer, and thinking about it on all levels is really important, and our team can help you with that.
Awesome. And one of the most cool things, like Emily was saying, in terms of adding as much detail as possible when you submit a feature request, I learned this very early on in my product creation journey, but there's a concept called a user story. So if you communicate in this way, those that interact with your feature requests, not just the Lifter LMS team, it could be the community or whoever, it's a very well articulated statement. So the template for a user story goes like this. As a X type of user, I want an action or goal, whatever that is, so that a benefit or reason. So so a simple example, which already exists, so don't request this feature, but as a course creator, I want to automatically enroll students after payment so that I can save time and improve the user experience. That's existed since Lifter LMS version 1.0, but that's an example of a user story. And when we learn to communicate in this way about feature requests, it speeds things up. It creates clear communication and clarity. In a similar way that when you contact Lifter LMS support, if you're having a challenge, the better you phrase like what's happening, what you think should happen, and what you've tried already, makes it much easier for somebody to help you. But the same is true for feature requests. So that's it for this Feature Friday. Speaking of feature requests, I have a request for you. Smash the like button, drop a comment down below, tell your friends, let us know what video you'd like for us to make for you next, and we hope that you have a great rest of your day. Take care.